The man had been stranded in the snowy mountains for 3 days, on the brink of freezing to death. Strangely, instead of putting on his coat, he took off all his clothes. They were completely drenched. Just when he was losing all hope, he spotted a villa perched on the mountain top ahead. That sight reignited a spark of hope, and he let out a joyful cry in the snow. To save energy, he put his wet clothes back on, curled up in a gap between the rocks, and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, he awoke feeling somewhat refreshed. He drank some melted snow and, to his relief, found his phone and radio were still functioning. It seemed things were finally taking a turn for the better. Seeing the distant house partially hidden in the mist, he set out with renewed determination. But after walking for about an hour, his vision started to blur. Having gone 3 days without food, he soon collapsed into the snow, utterly spent. After a long struggle, he forced himself back to his feet. To avoid getting dizzy again, he continued forward with his eyes shut, not daring to open them until he had given everything he had. What he saw next nearly made him collapse again. A house he had seen before had vanished. There was nothing there. Only then did he realize it had been a hallucination brought on by hypothermia. Still, he refused to give up. Determined to reach the summit, he pressed on, unaware that this choice might become his only chance of survival. As night fell, he found shelter in a cave. But there was no food, and to make things worse, his phone had finally died. Exhausted, he lay down to rest only to hear the distant howls of wolves echoing through the dark. Fear drove him back to his feet. He forced himself to walk through the night, leaning on a makeshift stick for support. Eventually, the pain in his legs became unbearable. He stopped and rolled up his pants, only to find his socks soaked in blood, and his calves swollen and darkened from the cold. Realizing the danger he was in, he pushed forward even harder. Then, suddenly, the sound of a helicopter roared overhead. Overwhelmed with hope, he shouted with all his might. But the dense forest muffled his cries, and the rescue team flew off without noticing him. Powerless and drained, he collapsed in the snow-covered wilderness, alone. How could he possibly escape this mountain of despair? Due to copyright restrictions, this is as far as we can show you of the movie. The title of the film is Miracle on the Mountain, the Kincaid family story.